Good morning, good people. It is the 19th day of August 2025. My name is Stanley Nyerengit, and this is hotter than your morning coffee. This is Morning Cafe.
Oh yes, definitely. It is World Humanitarian Day, 19th of August. At a time when the globe is facing so many humanitarian situations in Gaza, in Sudan, Darfur region, as well as in Ukraine. Now this is a UN observance where we're calling for the globe to be more humane and to ensure that funds follow the people we seem to care for. This is the Morning Cafe. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. Karibu sana. Let's take a look at the headlines this morning. Worst ever speakers. Sio sisi tumesema, that's the front page of the Standard.
On the kwenye gazeti la Taifa leo sema Raila azomewa na wabunge.
Mbona alizomewa, lakini UDA Raila MPs meeting fallout. We'll be telling you more about this. Very interesting, I like it.
Oh yes. On the front page of the Star, they seemingly go with a different kind of a headline than other dailies. They say how counties' new medical equipment will be bankrolled.
Yes, Star is always fresh, independent and different. Yes. But yes, you can tell the theme is the same. Among other headlines, apart from the Star, inside Ruto MPs face off over bribery. That's a big discussion today on the People Daily as well.
On Business Daily, NSE, Nairobi Securities Exchange gains 1 trillion Kenyan shillings, and amid shares rally, bonds decline.
All right, and for State of the Nation, we'll be having these individuals: James Gachagua, the MP in Bakassi North. Sabina Chege was a nominated MP, and Professor Fred Ogola is now a commissioner, People's Restorative Justice Commission. He's also an economics and governance expert.
Oh yes.
Tuangazie magazeti ya kwingine. Tukianza na Uganda.
Sleepless in Kisasi. Yesterday we were telling you how it's going to be a do or die as they're going to be facing South Africa, and they did. It was one of those very exhilarating kind of matches in the CHAN 2024. They finished 3-3 and they were able to book themselves a slot into the quarterfinals. So finally, all the three hosting nations have qualified into the quarterfinals. They say in seventh heaven. It took quite some time. 7 African Nations Championships tournaments and a do-or-die fight against South Africa, to be precise. But finally, the Uganda Cranes can toast to punching a quarterfinal ticket. Madiba did not smile at Mandela Stadium, and the party went on in Kisasi until dawn.
And that's the irony, because South Africa was playing at a stadium in Kampala named Mandela Stadium, and they lost. That's why they're saying Madiba did not smile. Yeah. But it's interesting, even away from Uganda, because now the Cranes have qualified for the quarterfinals, Harambee Stars have qualified, and Taifa Stars of Tanzania. It's the rivalry that now is developing between Tanzania and Kenya.
In Kenya, yes.
And hatuja kutana bado, lakini everyone is going and issuing a press statement and press conferences and saying, wale wa Kenya wanazungumza ba. Benny McCarthy, the Harambee Stars coach, alisema, well, Tanzania will have to meet what we met in Morocco.
Alafu awape feedback.
Watuambie sasa. Wakakasirika wale wa Tanzania.
They're not happy about that.
Jirani amekasirika sana. Tuliza boli. Morocco wanakuja kwanza. Hata kama tutakutana ni baadaye. Yeah. But at least the Cranes of Uganda have qualified, and you can see the ecstatic picture there on the front page of the Daily Monitor. The only other story there on the front page of this paper, Sebagala's 2007 plan that put Nakivubo in harm's way. It's another market there. And I think those are the only stories on the front page of the Daily Monitor.
On the front page of the New Vision, they also focus on how big this news of them qualifying into the quarterfinal of CHAN 2024 is. They say Uganda Cranes storm the quarterfinal. And pictures there, the players. Something else also happening, court issues new orders on divorce. If you're in Uganda, or you wanted to go to Uganda to look for those polite Ugandan women, kindly read this story very carefully.
No, but at least maybe they're also polite in divorce. Kenyan women are not polite in marriage. They're also not polite in divorce. Okay, don't come for me. Nilisikia mahali.
They say Constitutional Court seeks equality for men upon separation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hiyo ni poa. Hiyo inafaa, vile inafaa. At least they make mention, because for the first time we're seeing very little politics on the front pages in Uganda, because we've been seeing a lot of NRM and primary elections. But there's something down there. 2026 elections, Chagulanyi Mao Peak forms. And these are just some of those individuals who are seeking to replace Yoweri Museveni as president. Chagulani is Bobby Wine. So they've already picked forms from their own parties for primaries for the ticket for presidency come January 2026. Matters development, whatever is happening at Nakivubo channel is also there on the front page of this paper. So in Uganda, they're celebrating their win in Chad.
Na matoke yamejaa hapo kwa front page inaonyesha. You're saying the fact that Uganda has toned down when it comes to matters politics, but then on the front page of Tanzania, things are boiling up a few months into the elections, and this definitely goes to show it. Urais mwiba kwa vyama vya siasa. Wasema kuwa teuzi zake zazua tafrani, mpasuko na minyukano ndani ya vyama. Teuzi wa mpina kuwania urais, ACT wafukua makaburi ya zamani. Bariku kwenye ukurasa wa 4. Just going to show how the number of presidential candidates for this particular
yesterday we found out there were 18 presidential candidates. Yes, 18 of them seeking to replace Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan.
Kwingineko wasema kuwa Biteko bomba la mafuta kuwainua vijana kiuchumi. Kwingineko mashahidi 30 kesi ya Lissu yasema yuko tayari.
Nakumbuka chama cha Tundu Lissu Chadema waliambiwa na koti wasijishughulishe na masuala ya siasa. I don't know kama hiyo order imekuwa lifted. Meanwhile, kinara wa chama Tundu Lissu ako korokoroni anangojea kesi yake iendelee.
Still in Tanzania.
Tanzania's big step in war on financial crime, and this is a Citizen, it's the equivalent of Business Daily. Hapa wanazungumzia masuala ya siasa ya biashara zaidi. In a landmark boost to the nation's financial reputation, Tanzania was officially removed from the Financial Action Task Force grey list in June, which is a positive thing. So they're taking a closer look at the efforts that led to this significant step forward in the country's fight against money laundering. Remember, Kenya is actually in the grey list on money laundering. Tanzania has been removed, so it's a positive for them. Yeah, in 2022, Tanzania was placed in the Financial Action Task Force Grey's list following identification of 21 specific gaps in its legal, regulatory, and institutional architecture.
This means more investors now streaming in after being removed from that list.
Oh, yes. Other stories given prominence here. Insurance regulator eyes industry's 3% GDP contribution. That's in Tanzania.
Now this particular story would be interesting, even particularly today as Biashara Tuesday, because we'll be touching particularly on matters insurance and how you really need to plan your finances when it comes to also insurance. Kenya is quite low when it comes to the insurance uptake when you compare to the sub-Saharan Africa. Countries like South Africa are at 12%, while Kenya is at 3%. So as Tanzania talks about, making sure that it grows its GDP contribution, we'll also be taking a look at, even for Kenya, as an individual, what's your role when it comes to even your uptake on matters insurance and how you plan yourself kwa finances zako. That coming up around 8 a.m.
All right, looking forward to that. Other stories on the front page of The Citizen: pedestrian bridges turn into social hotspots in Dar. Same thing happening in Kenya. Ukunda bridge hapa inakuwa ni an area for business. Hawkers wanakuja wana set up stalls. Sasa the main intention of the bridge inasaulika because ukienda kupita ni duka ya mtu. Pale juu more than 120,000 youth in 4 regions to benefit.
12,000, yes.
12,000, yes, from EACOP projects. That's The Citizen in Tanzania. So we'll be back to take a look at the local dailies in depth. Of course, matters that parliamentary group meeting by the broad-based allied MPs making big news. But for now, tuangalie hali ya anga. Jana kulikuwa na baridi moja serious, especially in areas around Nairobi. Let's start off today and the coastal town of Malindi.
24 degrees Celsius. They said it feels like 26 degrees Celsius, though it's going to be cloudy early in the morning. Some sunshine just about up around 9 a.m. and then onwards into the midday, it's going to be some light showers. Let's see the precipitation actually. About 1.3 millimeters. So yes, do expect some light showers in Malindi, but then into the better part of the afternoon, going to be seeing some sunshine.
Yes, highs of 27 degrees. The other warm area is around Lake Victoria region, and we take a look at Homa Bay, 19 degrees Celsius, feels like 24. It's quite warm this morning, and I can tell you I was in Homa Bay last week. Hey, joto ni joto. Highs of 24 degrees, which is much better than what was there last week. But they do expect some rainfall today. Precipitation 30%. 2.7 millimeters, much better than what we're seeing in Malindi.
Yes.
But now let's see the converse. Kule Nyahururu tuangazie masuala ya anga. 12 degrees Celsius kule, it's very cold and it will only get as high as 19 degrees. 19 degrees jana Nairobi hatukufikisha. Jana tulifikisha 17 degrees. Yes. 17 degrees is actually lower than what Homa Bay is feeling right now.
Right.
Yes. A lot of precipitation starting around midday there. 14.0 millimeters. Yes, rain likely from 2 p.m. today. So it's a cloudy day in Nyahururu and definitely it will rain.
In Las Vegas, that is in Nakuru, right now it's about 16 degrees Celsius, highs of about 22 is the highest temperatures that you're going to be receiving today in Nakuru. Right now going to be, the day will be starting off with some sunshine and then some light showers into the day. 5.6 millimeters, definitely going to be having light showers. So jitayarishe na mwavuli if you're there into the north region.
Turkana, a bit warm. 23 degrees Celsius, light rain expected even in Turkana, and you can see actually it's raining as we speak. It's warm, yes, highs of 26 degrees, but definitely there will be rainfall. Chances of precipitation 50%. This one, 10.8 millimeters, only lower than what you've seen where in Nyahururu. 10.4 millimeters is high rainfall. And this is Turkana, yes? Remember that the weatherman yesterday warned of flash floods.
From 17th, 18th, and then today, culminating all the way up to today.
Yes, so areas even in Turkana, which is known for flash floods, there will be rainfall. And finally, Nairobi, Tuone, if at all there's any improvement.
In Nairobi, no. Ladies and gentlemen, poleni sana. Yesterday, you suffered with the whole drains. Today as well, you're going to be keeping warm because the highest temperatures you're going to be seeing today is 19 degrees Celsius. But then the whole day is going to be cloudy and light showers. Let's say the precipitation, 3.0 millimeters.
Much fairer. Yesterday, they actually put us at 32.
Yes,
32 millimeters.
Yes.
So today, not much rainfall, but a very cold day, just like yesterday. Hata ile picha wameweka hapa, ni ile wamekuwekea laini ya nguo ati ukianika nguo haikauki.
Oh, yes.
Sahau hiyo maneno. Kama ulikuwa umefua nguo, pole. Let's see how much that has affected traffic, especially on the major tributaries into the city center. And yes, you can already see the Muthaiga interchange is building up slowly, but much better than what we saw yesterday morning. Unakumbuka jana tuliangalia traffic ilikuwa imefika mpaka hapa also.
Yes.
Leo at least, and it's still very early. At 12 minutes past 6, not so bad. It's actually yellow, meaning wale watu wali experience traffic jana leo wamesema, we'll be working from home. Jogoo Road also yellow. We're not seeing trouble spots. Even Haile Selassie Avenue as you get into town, areas around Railways bus station. Nothing much to worry about today. Ni kama leo wametulia kiasi.
Oh, yes.
The kind of trouble spots that we were experiencing yesterday, even along Outer Ring Road, nothing much to worry about. Kangundo Road is green on both sides. Thika Road, yellow, no, nothing. Green all the way from Ruiru. Yule mbwa anasemanga utapitia Luilo ndio ufike mapema. Yes, and even as we were speaking, the Muthaiga interchange, Pangani interchange is actually building up slowly.
Yes.
The other side of town, Stano, what can you say?
Tuangalie huku kwa, this is Ngong Road. Yellow patches, this definitely means it's building up, but then nothing much to worry about. This is definitely the traffic lights just building up on the other side of watu ya kama unatoka pande ya Kileleshwa nini. Also nothing major pale ABC kunakoga na ka yellow patches mahali hapo ABC leo haiko
pale Nairobi kuna
ABC place because of the traffic lights, but then nothing major. So I think majorly into Nairobi CBD is good. So in case you had an 8 a.m. Early meeting, you're good to go this particular day. Right now though, let's cue
Quote of the day.
Quote of the day.
Live intentionally. Craft a life that reflects your heart. When passion meets purpose, you love every moment. You're truly present.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the local dailies.
Right, it is one of those headlines that for a beautiful Tuesday morning would really worry you. On the front page of the Standard, worst ever speakers. They say Faustian Bagain. President William Ruto has once again broken his silence to lash out at Parliament, where the leadership of Moses Wetangula from the National Assembly and Amason Kingi on the Senate side is coming under sharp scrutiny. The two speakers stand accused of abandoning impartiality, presiding over corruption-tainted chambers and surrendering the House to the highest bidder. Far from defending the people they represent, critics say Wetangula and Kingi are fast cementing the place among the most underwhelming speakers in Kenya's history. This paper gives this conversation quite the prominence, as they have this only story on the front page.
And there's that phrase that they've started with there. Sorry, I'm getting my buttons off. Faustian Bagain, and probably now I'm getting the meaning. Faustian Bagain means a deal where someone sacrifices something of great moral or spiritual value in exchange for worldly benefits like power, knowledge, or wealth. So this is what this paper is accusing these two gentlemen of doing. Faustian Bagain, that they've actually sacrificed something of great value, their positions as neutral arbiters of both houses of parliament, for gains, worldly like worldly benefits like knowledge, power, and wealth. And this is an indictment on both houses. Remember the statement that yesterday President William Ruto said, made about the amount of bribery in parliament. Ili mambo tumezungumzia mara mingi. We've hosted members of the National Assembly and the Senate in our panels, and they always deny. I remember when MP for Juja, George Koimburi, claimed sensationally last year that MPs were actually bribed to ensure that the finance bill was passed. Yes. And they all denied. In fact, he was forced to apologize before the House. Now the president comes and says, well, I'm a consumer of raw intelligence, and I'm telling you for sure, I know what's happening. Watatuambia nini? Ngoja kujelewa tuone wanasema nini. Well, that's the Standard, and it will be the main story. But there's a very interesting story I've seen in the inside pages. No, I think it's on the Daily Nation. It's okay, ni sawa. Hiyo ni tofauti.
Yes. Well, on the back page of this daily, Harambee Stars changed from underdogs to title contenders. One of those conversations that you're also following up on when it comes to matters sports. From the Standard, kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo.
Asaba Raila azomewa na wabunge. Mkutano. Wabunge wakerwa na msimamo wake kuwa wapokonywa hazina ya CDF ambaye anataka isimamiwe na county. Unajua jana sielewi walikuwa na ubaya gani. On one hand, they're accusing these MPs of bribery. And the other wanawaambia hata CDF sini amfai kuwa nayo. Jana walikasirika. Wasi wabunge wa ODM na UDA walionekana kukerwa na Raila na Ruto katika kongamano la pamoja jijini Nairobi jana, kiasi cha hata kukataa kushiriki vikao vya kuidhinisha maafikiano ya vyama hivyo viwili. If you look at some of the dailies, inasemekana, and I'm just quoting one of the dailies, wanasema mpaka kulikuwa na wengine wanasema one term huko ndani. Ni vile tu haikuwa State House. Raila azomewa na wabunge. Kuna picha za viongozi hao wawili na wabunge wengine pale wameweka ile vidole viwili. Sijui wanasema ni two term ama ngapi.
Kuna wengine wameweka 4, so ni 4 term.
Vidokezo zaidi, Matiang'i ya dandia Jubilee, PNU, waziri wa zamani ajitahidi kupanda mlima, jicho likiwa kwa urais wa mwaka 2027. Kwingineko, Gachagua kurudi nchini kwa kishindo. DCP atoa taratibu kuhusu namna kiongozi huyo atakavyotua Kenya Alhamisi. Sasa tunajua tarehe ambayo atarudi ni Alhamisi. Jana naibu wake Cleophas Malala alikuwa anasema ni kama kuna njama ya kufanya hiyo ndege ambayo inakuja naye iende either Mombasa ama Kisumu. Itue Kisumu au Mombasa ndio aweze kutiwa mbaroni huko. Hatujui kama ni ukweli, ngoja tangoja.
Nasema kwingineko, tasnia Kiswahili omboleza kwa kifo cha Profesa Habwe, na hili ndio gazeti pekee ambalo nimeona wameangazia kwa kina Taarifa hiyo sema wasomi na wapenzi wa Kiswahili nchini na katika ukanda mzima wa Afrika Mashariki unaomboleza kifo cha msomi na mwandishi mtajika Profesa John Hamu Habwe aliyefariki usiku wa kuamkia jana akiwa na umri wa miaka 62. Wengi wetu tulisoma vitabu vyake pale shuleni kama coursebook. Naam.
Pale juu aliyeua mpango wa kando wa mkewe kufungwa. Mume alimpata mwenda zake chini ya kitanda akamuua. Sasa hata anafungwa.
Baada ya kupiga simu mara kadhaa kwa bibi akapata hashiki, anaingia nyumbani.
Jamaa kaingia mvunguni mwa kitanda.
Kuna jamaa ko pale chini na hajavaa nguo zote. Shanga huyu ni nani huyu?
Akaamua Sayuni.
Naam.
Okay. Kwenye sporti, tikitaka ya Man United, ushindi wa Arsenal EPL. Red Devils waanza kwa mkosi. Arsenal wakitabasamu. Unaona hii tabasamu hapa. Mkosi upande huu. Gazeti la Taifa Leo, kuna kitu unataka kusema?
Waswahili husema kuanza kupika ugali ama kuvunjika kwa mwiko haimaanishi umemaliza.
Mwiko inavunjika hata kabla maji hayajachemka bado.
Na kutangulia sikufika. Asante sana mzalishaji.
Kutangulia sikufika. Kumbe huyo pia ni wa Man U huyo mzalishaji.
Huyo ni wa Man U huyo.
Na wanda jana hamukuelekea vizuri. Gazeti la Daily Nation.
UDA Raila MPs meeting fallout, and they have this particular photo of the three leaders there. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, President William Ruto, as well as Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki. They say a plenary session to review the party's 10-point pact turned stormy. The inaugural joint meeting of the ruling coalition and ODM MPs was marred by controversy after President Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga put the lawmakers on the defensive. The president, for the third time, publicly condemned bribery in Parliament, vowing to have corrupt MPs, get this, arrested. How that will happen, we await to see. While Raila insisted legislators shouldn't run CDF Kitty. With the poisoned environment, the forum ended prematurely. And get this, it was actually raining up on that particular day at that time. So you can imagine, even if you really want to even walk out, wacha tu nikae nisikie tu maneno yote.
And you know, the talk has always been about how these two gentlemen have control over both houses of parliament.
Yes.
But what we saw yesterday, and the very interesting thing is that most of this was beamed live. I could see so many videos on social media. Ni kama walikaa mahali wakaambiana hawa watatu, sisi wawili tunaenda kuchoma. We will inject, wewe now Deputy President, ndio ujaribu kupuliza. Anyway, the most interesting story today for me, because these other ones we've talked about them, is this one on page 3, about this young Kenyan. Man's search for Chinese father ends in heartbreaking twist. It's called Brian Lian, who has both Kenyan and Chinese heritage. He learned that his father, who was deported, had passed away. This is a boy who grew up, anaitwa tu mzungu mchina, aelewe ni kwa nini, anajua mama yake mzazi tu wa kawaida. Lakini ndio ngozi yake akiangalia anaona, yenyewe hapa ukweli, mimi si kama wengine. So he decided to go and look for his father. And you can read more on that story on page 3 of the Daily Nation, what happened to him and why the twist.
Oh, yes.
On the back page of this paper, how McCarthy is turning stars into title contenders. Lakini Tanzania hawajafurahi kabisa, hawajafurahi. Wale Taifa Stars wana machungu kuliko kila ni kama hawakudhani Kenya tafika mahali.
Yeah, true. To another whole conversation that we haven't really taken a look at on the front page of the Star. Remember, it is a free copy for you. Utapata pale MyGov insert as every Tuesday. How counties' new medical equipment will be bankrolled. Remember, I think the president had launched this particular medical equipment, was it last week? And how this whole scheme will be working. They say counties will pay for the equipment through the Social Health Authority based on actual usage. Pale chini, still on matters health. Despite huge failures to some families, SHA is a God-sent lifeline. You rarely see some of this positive kind of news when it comes to the SHA. So can definitely read on that. Into matter security, Exortion awarded 25 million Kenyan shillings for dismissal after Somali attack. And into some politics, Ruto rewinds his 2022 hustler script for the 2027 re-election campaign.
Pale juu, masuala ya sporti, Zico back stars to ride China form to AFCON World Cup qualifiers. Hey, if we ever qualify for the World Cup, I'm telling you, you'll never hear the end of this. And yes. Taifa Stars wataskia machungu. Yani, we can already tell where our rivalry is. Among all African nations, among even those taking part in China, I think Tanzanians are our biggest rivals. Hawataki kusikia Harambee Stars wamefika mahali. Ngoja sio sisi tunakutana na Morocco. Ni nyinyi.
And remember, the World Cup qualifiers will be played in Kenya, in Kasarani, next month in September. So that's again something whole. Hata chani kisha tu hivi, 30th of August hapo, there's still some more, football excitement.
Yes,
to look out.
Even as we anticipate for what's going to happen in 2027, the AFCON will still be hosting alongside Tanzania and Uganda. People Daily, the same script that we've been seeing on all other dailies. Inside Ruto MP's face-off over bribery. Walikasirika sana jana. This paper did not get their picture, so they decided to do a caricature on the front page. Bunge limeanguka, limevunjika. Watu wamekasirika, waliambiwa walipata. Lakini sisi tumekuwa tukiwaambia na tukiwauliza maswali. Mbona mnakasirika?
Tutaendelea kuuliza leo asubuhi.
Maswala ya siasa pale chini, Kingpin test, Mudavadi Wetangula versus Natembeya and Malala. That's Western Kenya politics. Na pale juu, Kasmo Makoure sema, this is my political plan after the Gen Z demos. He still insists he did not betray anyone, but he's looking for an ODM ticket into politics. All the best to him.
On Business Daily Matters Business, Nairobi Securities Exchange gains 1 trillion Kenyan shillings amid shares rally, bonds decline. In case you're really interested in Matters bonds, this is something to read into. Palechini, Treasury blocks use of tax refunds to offset the Kenya Revenue Authority dues in fallout. This is also something to look out for, particularly for business owners. On the ticker, something that you'd really need to know for today, Safaricom and Airtel ordered to release Skiza Tune cash to artists. Something very interesting as well. High Court has ordered both telecommunication companies, SAF and Airtel, to release withheld revenues for call ring back tunes, Skiza Tune and Hello Tune, or to artists and copyright owners. Hata wewe unaweza amua ukuwe unasikiza tuni yako. Watu wakipiga unasikia, this is Fred Ndimuli. Yes.
Hotter than your coffee.
Yeah.
Alafu narushiwa pesa. Narushiwa pesa.
Papa Freddy. Yeah, so that's something definitely quite interesting. Hiyo ni maneno ya biashara. Tuangalie.
Just a reminder of my panel this morning. James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, alongside nominated MP Sabina Shege and Professor Fred Ogola, whose title, I know him as an economics and governance expert, but now he's coming as a commissioner in the People's Restorative Justice Commission. In Ile collects evidence about the kind of violence, extrajudicial killings and abductions in preparation for an ICC suit.
Yes.
We'll be having them in studio. Tuangazie karakacha sasa, as we come to the end of this news review, and we start off with this one on the Standard. So we have two frames. The president yesterday said, while addressing the joint parliamentary group meeting of the broad-based arrangement, he said that he knows and is so sure that even if his rival at the last election, Raila Odinga, would have won, he would have done exactly the same as him.
Yes.
Exactly. So according to this paper, and I know the president meant that he would have probably decided to pursue affordable housing, SHA and the like. But according to this cartoonist, is that even Raila Odinga would have pursued an after-election, a post-election coalition with him. So that's why hapa nasema Raila become president, he would have been doing the same what I'm doing. Also the same like what you're doing is having your former rival in your pocket, akiimba sifa zako. Akisema we are not in the kitendawili government, lakini ako ndani ya mfuko ya Azimio. That's the Standard.
Let's take a look at this is People Daily Stano's take. This gentleman having the briefcase imeandikwa motivation offer. And he says, for every corrupt citizen you arrest, you will receive an award of about 1 million Kenyan shillings. Talking to this askari. And the common mwananchi is wondering, are we taking 2 steps forward, 10 steps backwards, shooting ourselves in the foot. How ironical is this statement even?
Isn't this just a bribe to the officers who are supposed to arrest either way any criminal? Now you're offering them motivation for doing their job. That's also a bribe. Star no stick. Daily Nation. Kuna hiyo mkutano huko, watu wanabebana na wheelbarrow upande moja, UDA ODM PG meeting. Kuna wale wanachungulia kule because now ni watu wa wapi? The Deputy President and the Prime Cabinet Secretary wanachungulia waone vile kunaenda. Lakini kuna jamaa ameshika microphone hapa nje ako tayari kuongea.
And he was absent.
Yeah, he did not attend that meeting. Alisema, and you know that yesterday, if you read the papers, they said that there was already a plot to actually oust him as SG yesterday.
Wow.
In fact, MCO akileleshwa Robert Alaya alisema by the end of today, Sifuna will not be SG of ODM. Tumeamuka leo, he's still the SG, hatujasikia anything. Ni kama they developed cold feet. So jamaa ako pale nje na ako tayari ameshika microphone. Nitaongea. Finally, the Star.
On the Star, there's 3 leaders here just testing the ground, even as they wait for the by-elections coming up around November. They say, let's test the ground. It is one of those conversations that is keeping the politics in the country and the different political parties, the temperatures rising as they really test, because it's going to be a litmus test for the 2027 elections. That is on. And
this gentleman, the former deputy president, he said that he had to cut off his trip to the US mainly because of the by-elections. But others are saying, ni vile amekaa hivi akaona hapana, focus has shifted now to the other side. In his absence, it would appear the opposition has been very, let's call they've experienced a lull, so to speak. Anyway, ni kama hawana chumvi kiasi.
But football is going on. People are really focusing on Chan.
Well, yesterday there was a broad-based. You can look at the headlines. Who are people focusing on now? It's UD and ODM. And I don't think this is what he likes. So that's why he's coming back. You talked about the insurance conversation later on.
Yes, Anthony Mwangi, he's an insurance expert. He'll be joining us later on from around 8 a.m. To 9 a.m. on Biashara Tuesday to help us understand this insurance and financial planning. You're either employed or you're not. How do you actually ensure that you have planned yourself when it comes to maneno ya insurance? Do you even need to have an insurance cover? How necessary is it? These are the kind of questions that Anthony Mwangi will be helping us understand.
Yes, and throughout this entire show, kindly interact with us through our social media pages on X at TV47 News KE, TV47 Kenya on Facebook, as well as YouTube. My handle on X is at Freddy Ndimuli.
And Ringita _ we take a short break.
Yes.
When we come back, State of the Nation.
Is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it, or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age.
Welcome to Bunge High School, the self-proclaimed school of choice, where enrollment is a 5-year struggle and graduation depends entirely on how loud you can shout. At Bunge High School, we are split into 2 grand houses, the National Assembly and the Senate. Each house is headed by a principal, dignifiedly called a speaker. Now, our 2 principals work together with the senior-most head of the country, Mr. William Ruto, who has recently discovered that something smells off at Bunge High School. So he summons a parliamentary group meeting at Karen where all his party MPs and senators, plus some freshly imported ODM allies, come to hear his plans for their new coalition. But here, he chooses to unload.
Very few leaders can stand here and tell you to stop the extortion that is going on in Parliament. I'm telling you the truth. Very few leaders, because we like making peace with mediocrity.
According to Ruto, the stench begins in the committees of the houses, those sacred spaces where laws are crafted, inquiries held, accountability questions asked, and apparently fundraisers for personal pockets conducted. And Ruto thinks one of our principals has turned them into his private ATM.
This fellow who is called chairman of welfare in committees, what is their job? What is their job? Extortion, that's it. And that is what Prime Minister is saying.
Enter Ruto's new ally, Raila Odinga, who arrives with his ODM squad. After years of hating the cafeteria food, he is now ready to share a plate with Ruto. He agrees with the president.
Lobbying is okay. In the US, you've got lobby firms which have formed to lobby the members of the Congress. They come to lobby, they're known, they're officially registered as lobbyists. They come to lobby the members of parliament. But lobbying is a different thing from extortion.
Everyone wants names, receipts, evidence. Ruto, never one to miss drama, declares.
By virtue of the position I hold today, I am a consumer of raw intelligence. I know what's going on.
At this point, it's clear kimeumana.
There are people who are destroying the credibility of Parliament. And they are collecting money in the name of Parliament. And some of the time, or most of the time, that money never gets to Parliament, it gets to a few people.
The room goes silent. Then the bomb.
Let me ask you, members of Parliament who are seated here. Do you, for example, know, do you, for example, know that a few members of your committee collected 10 million shillings so that you could pass that law on anti-money laundering? Did you get the money? So
Mamas turn into open chatter, all eyebrows raised by that statement.
So, we are not going to shame them. We are going to arrest them.
But like any good school assembly, after the scolding, we move to agenda items. The resolution of the meeting being, among other things, the unity of purpose and cohesion of the country, implementation of the 10-point agenda, parliamentary cooperation in the national interest, commitment to national dialogue and inclusivity, the commitment to legislative and policy issues regarding the 10-point MOU, and the retreat for the joint parliamentary group.
The MOUs about the 10-point agenda, compensation of the victims, and other things. Your Excellency, I don't see any reason why anybody in this country will oppose those kind of proposals.
Odinga, who is never short on ideas, suggests that MCAs take over the Senate oversight.
Senators, if they do not oversight governors, it is a known fact, Your Excellency, is that there will be no oversight, meaningful oversight from the county assemblies.
There are certain things that you said, Prime Minister, which if you stop, then it is as good as telling us to go hard goods as senators.
And just like that, the meeting is adjourned. But the conspicuous absence of a few ODM rebel MPs like Edwin Sifuna and Caleb Amisi tells its own story. Discipline on matters party politics and corruption, it seems, is lurking around the corner. Sydney Chazima for TV47, Nairobi.
Zima very well puts that story. It's the biggest discussion this morning on all the front pages of our main dailies. On the front page of the Daily Nation, UDA Raila MPs meeting fallout. On the front page of Taifa Leo, anasema Raila azomewa na wabunge. On the front page of the People Daily, inside Ruto MPs face off over bribery. And on the Standard, it lays the blame elsewhere. Worst ever speakers, with the images of both speakers of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, and the Speaker of the Senate, Jeff Akingi. Boldly posted on the front page of the Bold newspaper, The Standard. It is a big discussion today, even as we anticipate the arrival of the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, from his US trip, and we'll be talking about that later. Allow me to introduce my panelists this morning. James Gakuya, Embakasi North, MP Embakasi North, karibu sana. It's good to have you back in studio after a long time.
Thank you, thank you.
Also joining us this morning, Professor Fred Ogola. Professor Fred Ogola is a governance and economics expert, but today he has a new title, and allow me to get it correct. I wouldn't want to get it wrong. He's a Commissioner, People's Restorative Justice Commission. Karibu sana, Professor. All right, so the main discussion today, unfortunately, we've just received an apology from nominated MP Sabina Chege, who curiously or not well, who was among those people who attended the broad-based parliamentary group meeting at the KCB Leadership Center yesterday, and we were really hoping that she would shed more light on what transpired there, but unfortunately she has sent an apology and said she will not be able to make it to studio this morning. But we do have a member of the National Assembly with us, Bwana James Gakuya. Bwana Gakuya, we've been talking about these matters for quite a while. Allegations of bribery in the National Assembly and in the Senate. Many people have denied. The MP for Juja made similar claims sometime last year. He was even forced to apologize before the plenary. But now the president comes and says he is, as a consumer of raw intelligence, he is very much aware of what is happening there. How then do you, as members of the National Assembly, come back from this?
Thank you, Dimodi. Allow me to salute viewers, wherever they are watching this morning show from. And coming to the big monster in the House of Parliament. It's not a new or a surprise matter. It's a known matter. We have talked about this for long in this particular show. One, we have the last concluded Gachagua's purge, which everybody is aware that money exchange and big money. Well, Senate was able to get each 10 million Kenya shillings, and where parliamentarians were able to get each half a million Kenya shillings, depending on the big scope of their numbers. And I think that's why they didn't enjoy enough, because their numbers is tyranny. It's so big. But you see, to compromise Senate is easy because the numbers are less than 50, less than 70. So probably that is why their kit was a bit well oiled. But President should not come and try to tell Kenyans that it is high time he's learning about this particular monkey business. He is the cause of all this. Because if fish rotted, it's rotted from above, from the head. And let me tell you, if, Mr. President, you have been muscling, micromanaging, an independent registration office like this one, today, why are you complaining? You are the cause of everything. You have shown them how to fish. And that's the way you have shown them. And you have shown them that, in fact, there is other ways of getting more than what they earn from their own normal dues. And you cannot show a child how to fish, and then tomorrow you complain. Because it depends on which kind of knife you have shown him how to slice. And this is what you have taught them. And you have nothing to complain. And in fact, if, Mr. President, you want to arrest the members of parliament because they are being bribed, first and foremost, accuse yourself. Yes, because you are the one who has been micromanaging parliament using state money. Yes, where have you been getting this money from? You have not been spending your money. You have been spending taxpayers' money. Yes, are you so clean other than these members of parliament? What do you want to tell us? Yes, if there is any mistake or any criminal act done by members of parliament, who has taught them is the head of state and nobody else. And therefore, when the father shown a child on how to deal with the matters, then you have just taught somebody how to, because today you have bribed them to pass your bills. You have bribed them to purge the deputy president. You have bribed them to make sure that whatever you want to be done on whoever is done. They are only on a wrong side when they are taking bribe from somebody else. But when they are taking bribe from you, that's not a crime. It should be a crime for whatever reason, whatever kind of any penny you took to parliament to change the minds of them or micromanaging them to go your way. So if there is anybody who has messed the parliament, it's the head of state and nobody else.
And I was looking for denial somewhere in Bonagakuya's statement. I didn't get any. In fact, I got an admission that yes, this is open.
It is true. This is the business of the day.
Okay.
Yes.
But the question is, does the president have the moral authority to actually call out members of the House of Parliament when he is accused of actually controlling both houses in terms of influence?
Fred, for me, the question is not even to have the moral authority. The question is that if the president finally wants to fight corruption, is he genuine? You know, Fred, people can always have their Damascus moment. So has he had a Damascus moment and now he wants to change Kenya? If that is the case, give it to him. Mm-hmm. And remember that most of the UDA members of parliament, most of the ODM members of parliament are my friends. Like now, Honorable Gachagua is my friend.
Damascus moment.
And we have talked.
The sorrow to power.
Yes. So he has not, what they told me is that the president was not genuine and they found it very disrespectful being addressed by the commander-in-chief.
That's a very serious allegation here.
No, it is. It is because let me tell you, Fred, stories, history, evidence can be there. Ruto was a member of parliament. Was he not? He has been a deputy president. He has been a minister. He is now the president. He said that there was a bill which was passed, anti-money laundering bill. On whose behalf was it passed? He said it in Homa Bay that members of parliament get money to pass a bill or write a report or look the other way around. Who sends most of the bills in parliament? It's the president. Mm-hmm. So who is the commander in that? The commander in theft is him. Fred, let's not go left, right, and center. The allegations, even if you look at the Auditor General's reports, are very clear. The president says that he is a consumer of raw intelligence, which means that for the 3 years he's been commander-in-chief, he has been receiving raw intelligence how theft is taking place in parliament, but not just in parliament. Theft is taking place in the county assembly, it's taking place in the executive of the county government, it's taking place in all parastations. He receives raw intelligence. What does he do with them? Mm-hmm. You know, in developed world, what could have happened is the president could have been forced to resign and present this evidence before the DCI for investigation. Fred, let us not talk as if Kenya is a public property that when it is being looted, no one cares. It pains me. Fred, let me just say something that is very personal to me. I grew up in Mombasa, and I know how drugs are consuming my fellow colleagues I went to school with. The one I grew up in the village. I grew up in Magongo Bukole. Magongo Bukole was a drug zone. In fact, if you went to town in Mombasa and told a lady that I come from Magongo, they won't date you, because they used to call it Mwisho Matatu, where Matatu cannot go inside. Now there is a den of everything else. Fred, has it not been my Catholic values, my father being a catechist, my sister being a bishop, and the strictness that we are brought up with, Fred, maybe it could be possible that one of my brothers and sisters could have gone into drugs. And drugs is consuming people because the barons are the ones saying they are fighting it. You get me? When you get someone who's a drug baron being elected to head a region, yet he's the drug baron, drugs are not be fought. So Fred, we're asking here, I think there's Jesus was not in KCB Leadership Center, because Jesus could have asked, take the first stone. Mm-hmm. And if Jesus could have asked the person, take the first stone, the first person to leave the scene could be the president, followed by his brother. Because Fred, let's be honest, and let's even put it this way, maybe Mheshimiwa, William Ruto and Raila Odinga are the people who give ODM ticket and UDA ticket to these MPs, isn't it? So they gave thieves tickets. Gachagua, you're on a UDA ticket, isn't it? You are a thief. You received a UDA ticket from the president as a thief.
But not from the president,
so
from the people of Kenya.
But I'm saying the party ticket for UDA was given by the party that he had, isn't it? Raila Odinga gave ODM that. And we know, Fred, it starts like this. Corruption cannot be ended by shouting in that place. Fred, let me tell you how the script begins. We have IBC now, isn't it? How have they been selected? First, we have the select panel, who bribed to get that position. Then once they have been bribed to get the position, they select an IBC panel, which also bribe to get that position. Then members of parliament have to get these positions after also spending their money. The amount of money used in campaigns is crazy, even bribing election officials. Now, when you come to parliament, Fred, your salary around 900,000, 800,000. You are taking a mortgage for what? How much? 30 million to pay for 3 years. All your money is gone there if you're a first-time MP. Now you are at somebody's favor. Now you ask. The president says something very important, Fred, called anasema soko huru. You know what soko huru is? If you translate that to English, you'll be sick. It's called free market. Mm-hmm. Free market economy is whereby we have supplier and demand. Means that there's somebody supplying corruption money, and there are people demanding corruption money. Okay. So it's willing buyer, willing seller. So who is the buyer? Is the president buying what he wants? And who is the seller? It is MP selling these things they want to do. So it has been created by him. Okay. And if the president wants the MPs to go home, the party can discipline them. Okay. If Raila Odinga wants the party to go home, the party can discipline them. And I want to end, Fred, by saying, just 1 minute, allow me. Raila Odinga and William Ruto came together as brothers to say they stabilize the country, isn't it? Let me tell you what, they don't like each other. They are brought together by commercial interest. And this commercial interest they're enjoying, they should be the first people to take the bullet. If they take it, they should go. He said that they should be shot before. Now they should be arrested. Let us see arrests and shots.
Thank you, Prof, for that. And now the Standard lays the blame on the speakers of both houses, Bwana Gachagua, that it is the Speaker of both the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate who have allowed the House to be so commercialized to this point. Do you agree that both Speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate should take blame for what is now transpiring?
Nationally, the head of state is a carrier of the symbol of peace in the country. And he's a symbol of unity. Mm-hmm. In Parliament, the symbol of the Parliament is the Speaker. Note, the Speaker is both an administrator and a member of Parliament, because he's termed as a member but he cannot vote in the floor of the House. But note that the Speaker's deputy is always an elected member or a nominated member of the House. And if you want to give, to put the sanity or to protect the sanity of the House, nobody else has those powers of control. It is the Speaker. The Speaker, if you want to learn a very smooth and able chamber, he will. But when the Speaker pokes to politics, like the Speaker of the National Assembly, you always find him at the rooftops of Fiat in the convoy of the president during presidential tours. And you find him lamenting politics as if he does not distinguish his position as a Speaker. The Speaker, and not from one Marende, because Marende is the Speaker who behaved very well. And since as of today, that record has not been taken by anybody else. Because the Speaker is somebody who gives the image, protects the image of the House. And the Speaker is the controller of the House. But when the Speaker has no control and leave the House to be run haphazardly, then that image of the House is gone. And therefore, the two Speakers we have, both the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate, are politicians. But they have forgotten that they are different animals today.
Question. The president said yesterday that he is a consumer of raw intelligence, meaning that whatever he says, he has information about it. Do you think that any of these things, both in the Senate and in the National Assembly, and the president quoted some amounts, 150 million in the Senate, 10 million shillings for a member of parliament in the National Assembly, do you think that this could be happening without the knowledge of the speakers? Is it possible?
One, it may be possible that that kind of money can pass around without the knowledge of the Speaker, because the Speaker does not sit in committees. The committees are read by their chair. So it can be done at the committee level, and none of the information can be leaked to the Speaker. Okay. But at any point, they may bring the Speaker on board if they wish. But if the committee does not wish to bring the Speaker in, the Speaker may be completely out of the image. Okay. But let me tell you, who is this complainant? Because it means after people paying the dowry, then they take the complaint to the head of state. Why are they complaining? Why didn't you complain before you give out? Because what you could have done is to call the head of the state. Tell him, this committee is asking for this much. Should I give them? Whatever you gave out, was it your money or was it a public money? So first and foremost, the giver and the one who was given. And the most worst is the giver. Okay. Because in the first place, why did you give? There has to be something you are protecting, and there has to be something you wanted to be hidden.
You're a member of one of a committee in the Parliament, and you've been a member of different committees. You've even chaired a committee in Parliament. The question is, and you talked about Soko Huru, the other thing you talked about is a chairman welfare in every committee. What's the role of the welfare chairperson in the committee?
There is no such a person, but every committee may choose to take any single member for their welfare. The welfare is the committee may decide to have the mayor go out within that particular committee, and they normally contribute. That's a welfare.
A merry-go-round for what purposes?
No, for members. Members contribute. And after contribution, maybe at every end of month, that money is shared by 2 or 3 members. That's the merry-go-round like any other that is outside there. And that's where...
So committees are run like chamas out here?
In fact, note this committees board very well. And there's nowhere else you can board than in committee level. So you board and learn being boarding this way, you can start many things as members outside now the jurisdiction of the business of the House. These are now private things, that's where welfare comes in. And you can choose one to take care of those welfare. Okay. And that comes in that way. But the intention is not majorly where the president is directing it. That's not the main agenda of a member who takes care of the welfare. Okay. Welfare is matters to do with members' issues of their internal affairs. Okay. Their contributions, Maybe members can decide even to buy something in a group or so. Because then don't forget that once you get in touch in the committee level, you may take 5 good years in that committee.
The same committee.
And there's a lot you can do using different ideologies from within the membership of that committee. Okay. And that's how it works. Okay. But it is not meant for that direction the head of state is trying to talk about. In any case, if there are people who are directly poking and negotiating, there has to be what we call the chairman's blessing. Because the chairman may not directly go to negotiate, but he may choose a team of 1, 2, or 3.
Okay. And so there's usually negotiation with the blessing of the chairperson.
In fact, if you could have heard members talking about robbing, even in the committees they are robbing. Yes, robbing is in the corridors of the House, both in the chamber and in the committees.
With financial considerations?
Even financial consideration. And many other things people in favors. The favors that are not only outside, even, but does not mean it breaks the main core.
Okay. Yeah. Away from matters to do with corruption in Parliament, because of time, and because of time, I know we may spend too much time there. Yeah.
Just allow me to say that when you want to compare Moses Wetangula, we have to know that we've had 8 speakers. And if you talk about Sir Henry, who was the one who was the first speaker, you go to Frederick Mbiti, everybody has what they did, they achieved. So the question is, without just focusing on corruption only, what has Moses Wetangula, because he has been said worst ever speakers, they had the opportunity to preside over the Gen Z revolution when young people went to the street and they were dying. And there was a need for Parliament to make some decisions around that, around the finance bill. They failed, really. I can tell you, if members of Parliament perform well, headed by the speakers, maybe either no one could have died or less people could have died. Okay. So they had a moment. Like, for example, there's somebody who presided over the transition from colonial to new independence. Somebody was talking about the issue of new constitution. So you can see every speaker had got a moment to do. So the question is, what have these speakers been able to achieve when moments present itself?
Okay.
Yeah.
I want us to consider now the pronouncements by the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, especially on this issue of NGCDF, where he has been very consistent. Yet we see that other positions taken by people he has worked with, even through the NADCO report, proposed the entrenchment of the NGCDF into the Constitution, where the MP was still key. And one wonders the genuineness of the former Prime Minister in some of these pronouncements. Do you understand him, or are you more confused when he keeps insisting that NGCDF should not be run by MPs, yet he's also party to the NADCO discussions?
First of all, Fred, forgive a man or a woman who has a wrong stance, but you cannot forgive a man or woman who has no stance. These people do not have a stance. And I can tell you, from the information I have, is a PR. Even whatever was happening currently is a PR. And we cannot run a country based on PR. One of my most favorite bishops in Kenya, Bishop Muhera, said, we cannot run a government as if we are doing advertisement. Advertising, that's what we called it. We need to be honest. Fred, these are not matters to go to Karen to talk in public, because if they are sure about it, they pass a law. Fred, let me tell you, how often have we just been surprised there's a bill passing in Parliament that has been signed? When they are serious, they do it. When they don't want to do it, they feed you with garbage. The conflict of interest, I told you this earlier, that I did a research with Timothy Bosire on NGCF. I was his supervisor in STARTIMES. And we said that MPs cannot legislate, make the law for CDF, then be able to actually set up the governance structure of the NGCDF, then go on now to actually implement the CDF as with executive powers, then come back and oversight it. At the same time, even can revise the laws. So when somebody has all these powers among themselves, it does not happen. Moses Wetangula said in Parliament himself that why NGCF cannot be scrapped is because MPs are village ATMs. These are not my words. When a national speaker says that, it tells you a country has lost its moral compass. And in fact, in developed world, these people are not qualified to really be there with their words, what they're speaking about. So I do believe that Raila Odinga has an agenda, but it is not genuine because Raila Odinga has been in the forefront of all this. And I can tell you, those in ODM can tell you, the ODM tickets are always issued in the week when CDF is being issued. And they are bought. These tickets are bought by MPs. We know, even if you now even go to Kenya and start campaigning, or Siaya, or go to Mombasa, or in Kilifi, you'll be told, if you don't have between 16 to 18 million to see these people with, forget about the ticket.
Okay.
That's why it is a barrier for young people to actually crack it in these political parties. So they are not genuine. Maybe, or just maybe, it's a distraction to me.
Okay.
And the best thing I can see here is that where do these people want that money to go where they can siphon it? Maybe they are finding that MPs are holding tightly gripping that money. In the county government, where Raila says it should be in devolved funds, isn't it? Should go to county government. The accountability in county government has been wanting, and therefore it's easy for them to put their fingers in it. I can tell you they are looking for which pocket can that money go where they can access it much easy than dealing with MPs.
Yes, Bwana Gakuya, just before the big UDA fallout, the president had communicated to Parliament seeking, among the proposals, to entrench CDF, NG-CDF in the constitution. And this was seen as a carrot towards his perceived influence or attempts to influence the National Assembly. Do you see the confusion where now his main ally is opposed to the same? That Raila Odinga has been consistent saying that MPs should not be the ones running NG-CDF.
Thank you, Dimuli. But on the onset, just put Raila Odinga in this particular matter of CDF being not sincere. And the reason why he's not sincere, he has been the one, in fact, the formation of NANDOC is by his own blessing. And he's the one who dealt with the first one, and even the second one. The second one that was chaired by two co-chairs, Kimani Ichung'wah and Kalonzo Musyoka. And there is no way you can have a team of caucusing which is leading your team where they don't consult with you. And at whatever point they are alive, they don't report back. Therefore, Raila was in full aware that CDF and what we call Senate Oversight Committee are a part of the NANDOC. Why didn't he push for the drop of the same at the level of the NANDOC? This tells you Raila is just not sincere and he's only playing politics. He wants to be seen by the governors as a messiah who fights for them. But this is not the case. He's just playing what we call politics and nothing else. If Raila today is not sitting, is not in bed with the government, he could not be uttering a word. But because today the food is full in his mouth, so he can say anything because he's comfortable wherever he is. And I can tell you, if Raila feels that actually that comfortability is no longer there, Raila will backtrack and start supporting members of parliament. And I can tell you for sure, he is not sincere for the first time. For the second time, he's not sincere. And for that time, he's not sincere. And if he's sincere enough, from the foundation of CDF to date, Raila has not migrated. He has been always in this country. Why was he not fighting CDF there before? Don't avoid those gimmicks and political gimmicks. He's just playing politics. And this tells you something. Raila is looking for something ahead. This tells you Raila is not done with his presidential list. And probably he's just wooing public by trying to show he can be able to refund this particular kitty back to Senate, back to counties. But let me tell you something else. This money, which is meant for CDF, this money does not do any single job that is anywhere related to counties. It does the national government project. And therefore, even though this money is being quashed, this money will not go to counties. It will revert back to the national government. And if that's the case, I have no problem. There is one problem we must sort. If today we can sort the problem of bursaries, and then we agree as a nation, we have free secondary and free primary, I will be totally comfortable man, because I have no business with that bursary money. Number two, if our governors can do their best so that they can give public in our constitutional level, they can do roads, they can do rating, they can do water, and they can do all that actually is under their obligation. We have no business with this money. Okay. But let me tell you, this money is not a member's money. This is community money. And I'm telling you, who defends this money is not even members. It is community. But if the government can do and make sure that the services is directed to the people, and people are not suffering, as a member, you will just relax with your your 3 areas of representation and oversight and registration. Done. But for the last 15 years, I am a member of parliament. I have not seen a road done by the governor in my constituency. I have not seen a light done by a governor. I have not seen even a water connection done by a governor. Who do you think my people could be? At what state? Okay. Yes. All right. And they deserve this service. But if we can have working governors who can sort the problems at the constituency level, because if you sort the wards, you have sort constituency. Because if you can sort my whole 5 wards, already my constituency is done. So go back to wards. Do what you are supposed to do as a governor in ward level. And by doing over every ward, then you have sorted my constituency. And I have no problem with that.
Professor, and I'll ask you to do an analysis of politics and the kind of headlines we see, because it would appear there was an agreement that this meeting would end up in a fallout. And one wonders what this fallout serves, or the perceived fallout serves, because the former Prime Minister went ahead and said that even the oversight of counties should be left to county assemblies and that the Senate should not have any part in that, something that would definitely cause some disquiet among MPs. Is it purely coincidental that the 2 gentlemen came to cause discomfort among legislators, both in the National Assembly and the Senate? Or is it by design that they agreed they are going to cause this discomfort that would lead to a perceived fallout between them and the houses of legislation? And to what end?
Yeah, Fred, when you see these people together, you have to look at the events that took place before this meeting took place. What is happening is that there's a lot of factions in ODM equally in UDA. So when you heard that UDA, ODM are meeting, the question was which UDA and which ODM. Like UDA was strong in Mount Kenya, it's not there. So the wheelbarrow meeting the orange, which orange met the wheelbarrow? Because within ODM there are 7 factions. There's the Sifuna, the Babu Owino faction, those who believe that there's a Kenya one. You look at for example, the Opiyo Wandayi who believes now they should be in UDA. I have this information. Oparanya, deputy party leader from Western Kenya, who believes that there is no future for ODM in Western Kenya, therefore they are better off in UDA. We have Joho from Coast Province, who believes that he should actually form a party and then come together and join Ruto through that party, not through ODM. Abagusi, ODM is gone. So the national treasurer for ODM probably, Timothy Bosire, who comes from that area, did not attend this meeting. Probably also believe that they should also marshal themselves around a certain political formation and then see where to go with it. Then now you go to the areas like John Badi believes on national treasure. So ODM has got 7 factions, and those cracks were very clear in this meeting. UDA is dead in Mount Kenya, and how many MPs are from Mount Kenya who are from UDA? So it can tell you that they are trying to find how they can start having a new alignment. They are about 60. Over 60. So it's like a new alignment. They know that they want to divide these people around the issues, then find who actually will follow them. And then from there, they can see where they consolidate and start building a new alliance. Because remember that ODM has announced that in October, they are going to have their NDC. and NDC meets to make some declarations. So Fred, there are 3 scenarios, but I think there's a 4th scenario. The first scenario is they meet together, ODM agrees they are going to field a candidate who is not Raila Odinga, new blood. That's one scenario because of these factions. The second scenario is that they meet together and then they declare that they are going to back Raila Odinga to run for president in 2027. The other scenario is that they meet together and then ODM declares that all ODM will be behind William Ruto as their candidate for 2027. And the 4th scenario is that ODM will die. And actually, there's no need for this NDC anyway. Now, it depends on how you analyze it. Ruto really wants ODM to endorse him in that NDC in October as the candidate, because Ruto does not want to entertain Raila presidency anymore. Because I can tell you, Raila Odinga always says there's only 2-horse race. And if there is only 2-horse race, there is only one person who can create the 3rd horse, that Raila Odinga. Because at United Opposition, we are very clear, we are going to present one candidate. In fact, the only big discussion, people say, oh, agenda. The big thing is we need a player fit enough to tackle Ruto. That's what we need.
Okay.
And if that is said, Raila not joining us, Raila can decide to run on his own. If he gathers 2 million votes and opposition gets theirs, you might find that by the time we are going to an election, Ruto is number 2 or number 3. Probably we pray he's number 3. Okay. And Ruto cannot entertain Raila Odinga creating a 3-horse race to destroy the potential for 50+1. Okay. So because of that, now these people want to find how they can flex their muscle and find these people. For example, MPs are being squeezed to feel desperate to come and negotiate, and they're being whipped either in ODM or UDA. This is a strategy. Also, senators are also being pushed the same way to also come in to find how they can also align themselves. So this is a political game plan that they are doing, because I'm telling you, if they are concerned about economy, which is the biggest problem, they don't need these alliances. They could have just delivered healthcare, ensure SHA is working, education is working, the economy is booming, and for that matter, they could have actually got people supporting them instead of playing this politics they are doing.
And as far as political strategy is concerned, Gachagua, could it be that these 2 gentlemen have realized that trying to exert their influence in a fragmented parliament is a bit difficult, that senators are looking different ways, members of the National Assembly are in so many fragments, but by giving them a common problem, members of the National Assembly will coalesce together and members of the Senate will coalesce together to fight for their own rights. And in that way, it will be easier then to rally them together, because they would still need the leadership of these 2 gentlemen. Could that be a strategy in itself?
What I'm overseeing ahead is Raila trying to come out with a commanding voice that they want to still fear to the members, so that members can buy any idea that these guys are coming up with. Mm-hmm. So it tells you there is a conspiracy between Raila and Ruto, and there's something they have sat and agreed. And where they have both agreed, if we are not going to fire these people, then we are not going to stamp our authority. But we should find a way or a mechanism how we should stamp our authority, so that if I command my team, it falls my way. If I command my team, it falls my way. And this is what I am seeing. I am fighting a situation where Raila now want to command the ODM in full swing, and where Ruto is now moving to command UDA in full swing. And he want to take the control of every member. And you know, once you want to control a member, you still fear. Mm-hmm. And the fear is the route that they are taking. I'm telling you, if William is one who can come out and start criticizing members of parliament, exposing them to the public, that they are rotten, that they are taking bribes, it tells he has reached somewhere. But note this. This is a warning. I'm telling you. This is a big warning. The warning is that we are not only going to warn them, but we are going to arrest them. So if the callers of arrest comes, then you must tow. And wherever you have been whipped, you will tow. And this is a fear being instilled to these members.
Is it,
and let me tell
is
you,
it enough to instill fear even to members who do not necessarily support William Ruto right now? For them to support, like yourself, for example?
You know, as people like myself, these are here, I don't care. There is nothing.
The threat of losing NGCDF?
Let me tell you, today, I can tell you, very authoritatively, on the onset, that there is nothing can stop me to be where I am. Because obviously, I believe in myself. I don't believe with godfathers. So there's nothing that a godfather can tell me to do. I can only give respect to my people, the Embakasi people, Embakasi North people. They are the one who gives me the mantle, not William Ruto, not even anybody else. The party can dismiss me, but I can see the right of the parliament back by the power of the people. Mm-hmm. So I have nothing to buy or to.
What about most of your colleagues?
Or to kneel.
What about most of your colleagues?
I can tell you,
they don't have enough confidence like yourself.
No, not many who have strong metals like ourselves. Mm-hmm. And those who have scarce metal, like a member for Kangema and the rest, you have seen them, you're the member of Managua. You have seen them decamping and getting back to the UDA. They cannot survive this side. This side is too cold. And eventually, if your metal is a weak metal, you cannot survive on this side. This side requires strong metal because you'll be bashed here and there. You'll be taken to DCI. You became where? Cases will be created for you. But if you are not a strong metal, you will be shaken.
So should we expect an exodus from the perceived MPs who are allied to the united opposition just to defend their positions right now with the kind of fear from President William Ruto and the Prime Minister Raila Odinga that now they would be forced to shift allegiances just to protect their spaces?
What I can tell you, Idimuli, Raila and Ruto are planning to use Parliament for particular registration and especially amendment of particular laws. And the fear they are instilling to them is for these members not to go astray, but to tow. It tells you between now and 2 years to end, there are a lot of changes we are going to see. But these guys want to steal the command, and they want now to whip them in the direction they want. Let me tell you, it is too bad if a member of parliament of my nature will be having no independency, and you'll be always saying, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. That's where they have been taken to. And let me tell you, what will happen is that I am sure William is capable of doing investigations and finding your queer mistakes. And then he keeps a file. And then one day, you'll be, the roll call will be read. Yes, you have done this, you have done this, you have done this, and you are not going to talk, then you'll be arrested. This is kind of fear that William is very capable of doing. And therefore, I can tell you where these two gentlemen are trying to take this team is a direction of a command where they want to force them to go their way.
All right. Yeah. Those two parties are the biggest parliamentary parties we have, UDA and ODM. Because we've always been talking about the fact that there's a lot of influence, external influence from the executive and the leadership of parties on how the parliament works. Yesterday we saw an instance where the leader of majority and leader of minority of both houses were in one meeting as a parliamentary group, which is very rare, even in any jurisdiction, to have minority and majority in one parliamentary group meeting. Do you see the risk going forward if those two leaders manage to marshal the kind of support that Bwana Gachagua talks about through fear?
Not really, because, Fred, let me tell you that the opposition stopped being in parliament a long time ago. It is Kenyans who are the opposition. And I told you, Fred, officially, it is us who are the progressive who are the opposition. Who goes to the street? Before, it was always the work of the opposition to lead the street protest. They didn't lead it. So forget about these people. According to me, we said drain the swamp. That swamp will drain anyway. And in fact, there is nothing that they can offer.
Despite that kind of influence
but even if Gachagua is in a different room and the other person I don't even know is in the other room, what do they offer? Because they're already in the government anyway. So being in the room is not useful. Who are their followers? No, Fred, the value of opposition is the followership you have. Because who is following the two of them? when the two brothers became together, they became thinner. Their powers reduced, their influence reduced. So, Fred, when you're sitting next to your enemy, your powers reduce. There are some people, when you are near them, you lose more influence, so they're not. But allow me just to try to answer the question asking Ms. Gachagua, because I have a different opinion. I know this is my senior, but I have respect for him, but I have a different opinion, senior. Let me say that this thing of threatening members of parliament is not because William Ruto will use this power to squeeze them. They are creating an avenue for doing horse trading, whereby MPs will start asking, for example, look, they have just appointed Makau Mutua to head the issue of the compensation, and the MPs will pass the budget, isn't it? Where will that money come from? So Ruto will still need these members of parliament to pass certain budgets and legislation. Will they accept if he is squeezing them? See, before, they were called to do CDF training, and they said they don't even do orientation until they were given the CDF money. They are still going to hold him hostage. They are creating a give and take. So it will be like, okay, if we want to pass these things from account to this shameless thing because it's unconstitutional, how can you use state money to compensate victims and we know the killers? You understand? Because the killers should actually be the one to compensate, not using taxpayers' money to kill people, then use taxpayers' money to bury them, then use taxpayers' money to compensate them. It's not making sense. So what I'm trying to say is that there will be a point whereby William Ruto wants this, and they want that, and therefore they'll say, let's agree, wachana hiyo mambo ya CDF ya Raila atambua, wewe wachana mambo ya CDF, tufanye hivi. Okay. Because there's a lot of things still they want to be passed in parliament. Look at even some of them are even to do with IBC laws. Budget still will be ready in 2026. Will the MPs accept you squeeze them and they allow you? They might even end up that there will be no sitting. So there are so many ways to sabotage them. Nevertheless, I want to tell members of parliament that they should not be talking about minority and majority, Fred, because according to me, the Constitution of Kenya 2010, parliament is the whole opposition, because before there used to be government side and opposition side. Now we have the executive, we have the legislature, so it is the whole parliament in entirety that should oversight the government. There's nothing like this side and that side. And what I'm seeing that is being created here is that there's even a by-election coming. Now, even those things are going to be very important discussion in a by-election. The other thing also you have to see here, which is coming about, is that Raila Odinga has lost grip of his own ODM party. Ruto has lost grip of his own UDA party. The only thing keeping these people in those parties is because those parties have money. Like, for example, how much money UDA receives is around 300 and something million shillings a year. ODM receives quite a bit of money, around 134 million shillings a year. All of them in total, almost 500,000 shillings. So what is keeping these people is that thing. In fact, whipping all those people is also just getting control of this money. Now Sifuna was not there. So you have to understand that it's also about the money and the influence, how this money is being used. These people, what keeps them together is money. What drives them is money. And I want to say, Fred, members of parliament has created this thing for themselves, because in history, the only time members of parliament vote together without being bribed is when they're increasing their salaries. The only time they come together is when they want to revise the inflation affecting their pockets. But anything else, agenda number 1 is money. Agenda number 2 is money. Agenda number 3 is money. Remember, they passed the finance bill because they were given money. Then they reject it again when the president says, I'm rejecting. They approved a Danny deal when they're in parliament in the morning. The afternoon, the president says no, then they clap for him and give a standing ovation. So these members of parliament don't care. Then William Ruto knows that no matter what happens, Fred, he can still buy them again.
Okay.
You understand? So if the deal does not work, he will still call them and say, Nyamazeni, Shika, this guy in Mkora. We know that is his character. So
and the headlines,
even by hoping that he's serious about fighting corruption, he has no moral or due authority to fight corruption.
All right, and the headlines today are screaming about what happened yesterday, what transpired at the KCB Leadership Center during the joint parliamentary group meeting between ODM and UDA members. Those allied to the broad-based arrangement. UDA Raila MPs meeting fallout. Was that by design? And what does that serve? Worst ever speakers. This follows, that's a standard, follows a kind of indictment on the Houses of Parliament, especially given the pronouncements on the kind of corruption going on, coming from the president himself. Inside Ruto, MPs face off over bribery. That's the People Daily. And Raila azomewa na wabunge kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo. I want us to move on to another discussion, and it's featuring on the front page of the Daily Nation. What awaits Gachagua on return from US tour? Challenges Gachagua will face on his return. He's coming back on Thursday this week. And in his absence, Bwana Gachagua, the united opposition, has been curiously very quiet. They've been accused of being a bit boring. And are we saying that Rigathi Gachagua, without him, the opposition is not as excited as it was?
I think those are sentiments from Kenyans. And let me tell you, we are all talented differently. Probably in a movement or a coalition, even in a football match, there is always different clusters. You have the strikers, you have the forwarders, and you have the fullbacks. And everybody is being positioned to an area of his strength. Even in politics, they cannot perform equitably, all of them. But one has his own, the strength for now this movement, which is Gachagua, Kalonzo, and the team, have proved that Gachagua has a lot of command and strength, and has a big drive to push it forward. And that's why, by the time of 2 months that he has been absent, it seems as if it is somehow mute. And that does not mean the movement has lost a direction. It's only that probably the key driver has been away. But that does not mean things has not been moving, because rallies and meetings has been on. It's only that that teamwork has not been there. But I can say when Gachagua is around, he knows how to plan, how to re-energize, and how to prepare the movement to be aggressive. And I'm sure people of Kenya has been missing him. I have been watching social media's commentaries, and they has been always missing him. Because you know, he's a forceful man, and he's able to push, and he's able even to utter words that maybe Kalonzo Musyoka cannot be able to utter. Mm-hmm. So, and that is how forceful he is. And I hope that he's coming back. Kenyans will enjoy the kind of pressure that was there. Even I have just witnessed that the head of state is in comfort. Mm-hmm. So when Gachagua was away, the head of state also enjoyed a kind of break. And therefore, it tells you, then Gachagua is not an easy man. Mm-hmm. And hope nothing big will change. There is assumption, one from the Minister for Interior, that they are intending to arrest Gachagua on his stepping to Kenya soil. But as we are saying, yes, if they are capable of doing so, they can just proceed and do so.
And before we even watch the story about preparations for his return, allow me to ask you, Professor, a question here, because there's also some work that the commission you sit in, People's Restorative Justice Commission, was doing. And some of the leadership of that commission comes from the united opposition. And I'm just wondering how Rigathi Gachagua's absence has affected your work, if at all.
Not really, Fred, because remember the People's Restorative Justice Commission is chaired by the very able former Attorney General, and also one of the speakers that was also at a very hard time. We are talking about speakers today, Justin Muturi. We have so many things we are doing because we are doing something which is legislative, so it does not need noise. Also, you have to remember that the united opposition made a very remarkable decision that they want the commission to be independent, though it is the vision of the opposition, but independent, because there could be accusation that the commission is only targeting somebody. In fact, we're going to welcome Kenya Kwanza government, if William Ruto says that the MPs are corrupt, he can bring those cases to us. We can deal with it also because we have two arms: human rights, restorative justice, and economic crimes, restorative justice. So currently, we've been able to set up the commission. We added another commissioner in the name of Narima Wako because we wanted to be broad. Not broad-based, but having different people with different skills because she is very strong in civil society. We also have been able to set up now a repository where any Kenyan, we are going to make it live, can put any petition that they think is disturbing them. We have also been working a lot on frameworks on how to do people's court. Fred, it will be live in a way that we can go and prosecute, for example, Ojuang's case. We shall get an investigator, we shall get a prosecutor. It will be prosecuted in public opinion, even coming up with how to restore justice. For example, we are looking at, for example, if we declare you as somebody whom the people sees as people's enemy, we can even ask people to deny you services so that you really realize that what you did against people is not a good thing. For example, if you are in charge of the person who killed Ojuang and you are culpable, why should you go to a church and pray? Pastor must ensure, first of all, you go and do the confession. But when you confess according to the Catholic Church or any other religion, is that you, even Islam, you have to return what you stole. If someone stole money. So we are working in a robust thing. We're not working on just something for now because the United position is clear that after they take over government, now they'll institutionalize that thing. Okay. But here we are doing a lot of groundwork. And I also want to say that we've seen people like Asha Bashir, who is a lawyer. She works for PLP. She has been very interesting to do some very good research. We are also working on organizing a conference on where we are going to have all stakeholders come to showcase what are some of the justice issues they are facing and what are some of the ways on which they are addressing them, which is unique, so that we are not just saying it is for the United Opposition, it's People's Restorative Justice Commission. Okay. And the last point, Fred, is that we are not looking more of punitive justice. We are focusing on how can you restore the justice of those who died. For example, you look at the lady called Bridget who was buried in Kiambu. We are more concerned about how we can restore justice of that family rather than looking at who actually do that, because sometimes that we can leave to other people to do.
Okay. Yeah. So let's now focus on Rigathi Gachagua's return. We've covered a story on some of the preparations ahead of Thursday and what to expect on his return. Let's watch that story.
DCP Deputy Party Leader Cleophas Malala Monday announced the itinerary for the former DP's return, highlighting that a procession will begin from GKIA to Nairobi's Central Business District and later culminate in a public rally at Kamukunji grounds.
We shall have a mother of all peaceful processions upon his arrival. The procession will begin from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to the Central Business District and later address a public rally at the hallowed Kamkunji grounds.
Malala has also stated that the police have been notified of the events with a formal letter submitted to the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja. The party also called on Gachagua supporters to turn up in large numbers to welcome him.
The police are hereby notified to provide security, and they should not dare to demonstrate against the people of Kenya. We have done a letter to the Inspector General notifying him of the said activity.
They also raised concerns over alleged plans to divert Gachagua's flight and arrest him upon his arrival. This comes following Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen's directive for Gachagua to record a statement over controversial remarks he made in the US accusing President William Ruto of links to Al-Shabaab.
We are also adequately informed of the mischief and also plans by President William Ruto to have our party leader arrested upon his arrival at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. We are also informed that William Ruto is planning to divert his plane to either Kisumu or Mombasa International Airports to arrest him from there. We have encouraged our members to also plan to receive him in those respective airports.
Gachagua's tour of the United States, originally scheduled to last 2 months, was abruptly cut short following his decision to return to Kenya to lead his party in preparations for the upcoming by-elections set to take place in November. As tensions rise and political temperatures soar, all eyes will be on JKIA this Thursday, with Gachagua's return expected to ignite a new wave of opposition politics.
The Daily Nation on page 6 has posted about 10 different scenarios, including the possible arrest of Rigathi Gachagua once he returns, talking about some of the challenges the former deputy president is coming back to, including the anti-Gachagua brigade in Mount Kenya, crackdown on his public meetings after he returns, the third force poaching with the emergence of Kenya Moja movement, which has taken some members in that direction. The DCP and DP political rivalry. Remember, DCP was intended to launch as a party just before his departure. They never got to. The fact that retired President Uhuru Kenyatta also met his successor at State House. This happened during Gachagua's absence, and what does that mean? The DAP-K rivalry, especially in matters by elections, that also the lull that we've discussed about, as well as the ongoing empowerment rallies all over the country. He definitely has his work cut out. He's coming back to a full in-tray, the former deputy president. What exactly does the itinerary look like once he returns? Of course, he's mentioned the by-elections, but will that be his only focus?
Thank you very much, Demboli. Let me state that, in fact, on the tray of the former deputy president, as he arrives back home, one, I think that what he has to concentrate first is to make proper methodologies on how to prepare for these already notified by-elections. Because you cannot mix the two, and there's no way that you can put now the party launch at the same time you are in a campaign, on a campaign trail for these by-elections. So I think you have to look for the priorities. And the priority is that first sort out the by-elections, because they also need a lot of resources. And when you are through with the by-elections, then you can do what you call party launch. But it can be done concurrently, because I don't think that everything is budget. And if the budget is okay, I think there is nothing wrong to when you are pushing and campaigning for by-elections. What you need to sort out is issues to do with the candidates. And if you are through with the candidates are on the ground campaigning, then you can now still move to launch the party as the momentum of the campaign is on. And the launch will require a single day, but the campaign will require a momentum number of days. So I think the by-election has a big chunk of budget other than a launch. The launch may require maybe 50 million and it will be okay. But the by-election needs a lot of money. And I think surely as the new party, he has a duty to make sure that out of the 6-7 number of by-elections, and especially the parliamentary ones, he has to make the party, give the party an inroad. And therefore, I'm sure his heart is so so needed to capture either 3, 2, or to have an entry point of 1. But I am sure that, in fact, he has a high chance to get the Bella one. Banisa is also another hanging carrot, and also Malaba. It depends on the party's mechanisms and strategy, because I'm sure that, in fact, with the proper mechanisms, you can get Malaba, and you can get what you call Banisa and Bele. And therefore, him being away, he may not be able to strategize better than when he's present.
His presence, especially if at all he goes campaigning in Malava, could create a possible issue there, because DAP Kenya as well is very keen on that by-election. Don't you think that probably that is a challenge for him, the kind of rivalry that is now being created between the two parties, DCP and DAP-K?
I think party democracy, these coalition parties, there's a point when they will allow to zone and map their areas. But as more of now, there is no mapping that is on the table. There is no that kind of zoning that has already done. And therefore, no single party should say, this particular party. I will also welcome DAP to have a candidate in Bele, to have a candidate in Banisa. There's no problem with that. Wherever you feel that you have strength, because I'm sure Marara is the deputy party leader, and Marara feels that that is his home ground, and he has the power and drive to bring that particular seat. And therefore, in areas of this kind of double interest from various coalition parties, I think the wisdom is that those parties that are strong in those particular areas come on the table. Let us have mechanism of having joint nominations, so that after joint nominations, they can secure the best candidate and they can campaign for that single candidate, all of them. Okay. And that's the best way to go.
Okay. Yeah. Professor, before his departure, the former deputy president was always on the front pages. In his absence, we've rarely seen the other leaders in the united opposition making headlines. And this has given probably some political relief or room for Raila Odinga and his ally, President William Ruto, to actually dominate the headlines. Do you think that is something that the former deputy president should seek to reverse?
You know, a few days ago, I had a meeting with my brother Gachagua, and today I saw him posting that everybody wants Ruto home, except that in opposition, there's still not yet a fit player to send Ruto home. So this, I think, is a discussion the opposition also have to debate and see, is Gachagua on the front in opposition good for opposition, or who needs to be in the front, or for now, there's a need just to do groundwork. And I can tell you, people don't know where the strength of opposition is going to come from. People are thinking that is a joke. Fred, in spite of what Raila Odinga and Ruto is doing, whether they're on the front page or not, they should never even be there. When the wave has come, the wave has come, Fred. Do you want to tell me there's no wave in this country? The wave is blowing one time. And it does not matter whether you stand with what, you will be blown away. Who was stronger than Moi? Do you know anybody who was stronger than Moi in grip of power? Moi was strong as a president, but Moi also had a constitution that gave him a lot of privileges, if he was blown away with it. So for me, don't judge opposition, because opposition is doing a lot of things in the air. Remember that only William Ruto is the default candidate for the ruling party. But I want to tell you, I'm a member of United Opposition. There's a time we used to fight with my brother Gachagua, but then now we find that we are fighting a bigger mission to salvage the country. And I'm not going to say that it's about my interest. It's not about his interest. It's not about Gachagua's interest. People might have issues with Gachagua because he's a former deputy president, he was impeached, I don't know what he was supporting. But now, time is coming where Kenyans are telling me, Fred, whatever you guys are talking about, Ruto must go home. That's what people are telling us. So people can say, you know, William Ruto is the one going to face against the current. Mm-hmm. For us, we have a tailwind. When a plane is enjoying a tailwind, why are you struggling? Why should we start ruffling feathers? The country is with us.
Okay.
And if the country is with you, what we are doing now is we are forming agendas. Because William Ruto said there's no agenda. One agenda that Kalonzo said, agenda number one, is people's restorative justice. To ensure there's criminal, the human rights justice is done, the economic crime justice is done, because justice comes first. Secondly, we are working on economic liberation. So how are we going to come with economic liberation? In fact, you might think Gachagua is coming to launch a party. You might be shocked. He's coming more on how are we going to form coalition. Remember, Gachagua was in the US, Martha Karua was in the US, Fred Matiang'i was in the US, some of us are in Kenya. You don't know how much we are doing. Do you know that Jasmine Turu already went to UK, met Bensouda, and gave her a battery of files from people restorative justice. So this one term could be done even without playing. Fred, I'm a strategist, and strategy says that the best winner in war wins the war without fighting. So there could be actually no war to fight.
Okay.
If we can win the war without fighting, why must we fight?
And now the question is, from the US trip by the former deputy president, what dividends do you expect as a united opposition that now he's back and he's come back with this?
I don't think the dividends of I don't think the dividends more on his coming back. The dividends more on what he's achieved over there. His absence has punished people more than actually his presence. What are they talking about? They're talking about he's away, he's away. They have talked about he's away. His going away has been trouble. You saw even they are saying he has made statement in the US, he should be arrested. If his visit in the US was meaningless, why are they concerned about it? Now, if he's a useless person, why are they concerned about his coming back? By the way, I can tell you, Fred, that at the moment, the coming back of Rigathi Gachagua simply means that the opposition has a lot of discussion to make. Look, they have not yet actually formed and formalized the coalition. Like you heard when Mheshimiwa is saying, we have not even done the zoning. So there's still a lot of things to be discussed. And maybe you might even find that Gachagua is just that person who really wishes that his mission is that William Ruto should go home. He might not be on the front page of the thing in the end. Maybe the person you are seeing on the front page, you are fighting the wrong enemy. The person going to beat William Ruto, he still doesn't know him. And it could be any of the names you are hearing, or it could be a name you've never heard.
Okay.
So for now, we are lacking the fact that they have not understood our strategy. Because remember, I'm a strategist. I am right there with other very well qualified strategists. How William Ruto will go home, it's not been seen. He does not know the playbook. We have a playbook. His playbook we know. The playbook of conmanship, hypocrisy, and the issue of coalition, tribal mobilization. Remember that the call for one term is not tribal. And for them, they are saying, when I'm with Raila Odinga, I have this community plus that community. No, for us, we are not doing tribal arithmetic.
If we may focus on the former deputy president, any attempt to apprehend him or arrest him on return would probably work out better for the united opposition in as far as creating a buzz and returning them to the front pages, don't you think?
In fact, what I can say on the onset is that we have seen these monkey businesses. But let me tell you, for a politician, if you want a politician to get mileage and and become what you call, and he ends out of that victim, is a scenario like this. If you want to make Gachagua a giant and a full giant, just there and arrest him. Yeah. Just there and arrest him. You know, let me tell you for sure. This, you know, William and his team last time, they decided to drop Gachagua under the bus. And the mountain was silent, and the whole community, the whole public was silent. But I can tell you, as of now, if they want to dare and to test the anger, it's now. Let them proceed and do so.
You're daring the government to...
No, I'm telling you more comment. Proceed and arrest Gachagua. You are a man and a half. You have the chains and you have security and everything. Just there, move to the airport, arrest Gachagua. Yes.
Fred, for me, what I want to ask myself, I don't want to discuss more on the implication of arresting Gachagua. The main thing is, for what reason? How legitimate is it? Is it legal? Is it constitutional? What's the accusation he's done? Even ask him to record a statement. What is normally the requirement for someone to record a statement? Mostly, the recording statement is normally to the complainant. Mm-hmm. So before they ask him to record the statement, let them go record the statement in the police and have an OB, isn't it? To tell us what is the claim. I'm neutral. I don't want to say that because for me, I'm a commissioner, so I don't want to go into the murky waters of politics, isn't it? The issue is for us, when they arrest Gachagua, the people of the Restorative Commission will come in and we can take a petition to court, isn't it? To ask what are the basis of arresting Gachagua, because why do you want to create animosity for nothing? I saw William Ruto speaking in Kiambu with a tone saying there is nothing good, and he quoted the Bible, of course wrongly, by saying there is nothing good in this world when two brothers come together. I'm sure you heard that speech in Kiambu, in church in Kiambu on Saturday. So maybe that is the verse they need to ask. By him separating with Gachagua, he became worse of a leader, isn't it? By arresting him, Gachagua, he's going to look worse. Because let me tell you what, even if you accuse Gachagua of what, he's somebody's son. And you impeached him. When do you think you are done with him? In fact, when you continue mistreating somebody you have impeached, you now give people a chance to have sympathy for him. For me, there was no day I would ever mention the name Gachagua before he was impeached. I can be honest about it. Mheshimiwa knows that, isn't it? But now I'm asking myself, how can the chief thief be impeaching someone, accusing them of corruption? Because now we are looking at it, the first tone. So for me, what I'm seeing here that needs to play out clearly is that let us ask ourselves as Kenyans, is there any justification for arresting Gachagua? And then when you arrest him, how long are you going to keep in a cell? Because after 24 hours, he has the right to be out on a cash bail.
Okay.
And he has the right to what? To a cash bail. Now, after that, what will you have achieved? In fact, I want to tell William Ruto, if you don't know whom to arrest, arrest poverty, arrest corruption, arrest the healthcare situation in Kenya.
Prof.
You have enough people
Final
to arrest.
comments, yes.
And my final comment on this matter is just to summarize what we've been discussing today. Fred, corruption do not need press statements. Corruption do not need warnings and threats. Corruption must be confronted on the eye. And the first person to tackle corruption is the guy in the mirror. So Fred, let every Kenyan go to the mirror and ask themselves, how am I contributing to the whole corruption saga? From the electorate, I'm sorry, Mheshimiwa is saying now we need more money for election than even to launch a party. I don't even think, Mheshimiwa, I need to focus on that. By the way, if a party can win more seats, that is the best way to actually launch that party.
All right.
There is no better way to launch a party than actually launch by pronouncing the names. And I want to tell people, you have been ignoring the word united opposition. This term has never been heard before, isn't it? United opposition does not mean opposition leaders. Kenyans, Gen Zs, young people, progressives are united in one dream, one term. And it's a wave, it will beat any other. And if they are thinking it's a wave for a joke, 10th of August is very near. 2027 is less than 24 months. It's just a matter of time waiting. The only time to do that is to see what will happen on 11th of August 2027, because there will be a different country altogether. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Prof. And finally, Bwana Gakuya, final words on what we've discussed today.
Idimuri, my final remarks is that we have seen what we call 2027 preparations for joint or coalitions. And what we witnessed yesterday between UDA and ODM is a clear roadmap for their re-election plan. And what I would tell Kenyans is not to be worried about this. Because people, as the way they stand here, I want to just address Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga today, the team he always commands is like in Nairobi we are in. See what what we call Bunge la Wananchi are talking about. They are totally against this marriage, and therefore they are not in support. And number two, William, he's trying to redeem himself. But what I can advise him, don't throw the murky to the team has died with you. I think it's wise to be more respectful. And there is a way of addressing members of parliament. Call them for a PG where there is no media. Just if you want to really advise them where the cameras are not on. Why do you want to finish them politically? It's not fair. Because I am sure that they have done well to you. And they have even done, though most of the staff that they have been doing for you, you always pay them. But that does not mean they sacrifice themselves. So I would say that relationship between the members of parliament and the executive should still be seen there. And when William wants to throw market to members of parliament, I think it's so important for him to look his side mirrors and ask himself, how clean am I before I utter a word of tainting the parliament? How is the executive? And where is the executive? Executive, as we talk, is rotten. And if the executive is rotten, how can they point fingers to parliament? So I would say both the executive and the parliament seem to be rotten. And the best is that the public are the people who gives power to what we call power. Okay. And therefore, Kenyans, I throw the ball to you. Both executive and parliament, you gauge them. And if the results are that they have performed below the expectation, then the obvious is to send them home.
Thank you so much, James Gakuya, MP in Embakasi North, and Professor Fred Ogolla, who is an economics and governance expert and also a commissioner in the People's Restorative Justice Commission. Thank you for your time at TV47 this morning and for what you've discussed. Of course, the big headline coming from the meeting, the parliamentary group meeting between UDA and ODM MPs, allied to the broad-based arrangement yesterday. UDA-Raila MPs meeting fallout, and the Standard lays the blame on parliamentary speakers, calling them the worst ever speakers. After the break, we talk matters business, insurance and financial planning. My colleague Stanley Nyaringeta will be hosting Anthony Mwangi, an insurance expert in studio. Do stand by for that conversation. My name is Fred Indemuli. Good morning.